Hey guys, welcome back. Today I'd like to show you how to take one of these Master Lock Magnum padlocks, which happen to be the most expensive at $25, and highest security padlocks that Home Depot, Lowe's, and other hardware stores sell, and greatly increase the pick resistance of that lock. Now, as we all know, Master Lock padlocks are not exactly known for their pick resistance, especially the laminated type like you see right over here. But this padlock here does have much better pick resistance. It's still not perfect, but it is much better than the laminated type. Pick resistance level is at a 10. Maximum pick resistance. Over here it says best cut resistance, and that's referring to the Shackle. And this is boron carbide, and it's usually subjected to attacks by standard bolt cutters as well as hydraulic bolt cutters. But if you use the padlock along with my padlock shackle protector that I designed and showed you in another video, it will make cutting this padlock shackle virtually impossible. You will not be able to get a bolt cutter in there to cut the shackle, and it also makes it extremely difficult to use a cutoff tool. If you have not seen my other video showing the shackle protector that I designed, after watching this video, you'll see an end card that you can click on, and it will take you to that video. The padlock body is solid steel, just like older model ones, like you can see right here. This one does not have a weather protected cap, and this one does, this rubberized cap. You got to pull this off down here to access the keyway. I'll show you much closer in a second. You can see the flap. Inside this padlock are ball bearings which lock the shackle in place. There is no spring-loaded mechanism like the cheaper laminated locks have. With this type of lock, you cannot use padlock shims inserted along the shackle, rotated to release the padlock. It will not happen. It only works using this type right over here that have a spring-loaded mechanism. Now the smaller laminated Master Lock padlocks use a 4-pin key, and this padlock here has a 5-pin key, and by having a 5-pin key you're increasing pick resistance because you have the additional pin that's going to have to be picked. Now first let me just show you why most people think Master Locks are a big joke. Alright, let me try picking this open. Here we go. And you can see it didn't take me more than about 10 seconds. And right over here is a very popular and very heavy padlock that's sold at Walmart. You can see how thick this shackle is. So when people see this, they say, wow, look at that shackle. It's going to be very hard to cut. Steel laminated padlock. This is going to be a great padlock. People shouldn't mess with it. But the problem is, watch this one. This is also a 4-pin. Let's go in here. Is that ridiculous? This is why you should not be buying this type of a lock. This padlock here would probably take me 2 or 3 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, so I'm not going to be picking this on camera, but I can tell you this padlock here is definitely more pick resistant than the laminated types that I just showed you. I do want to show you what else you can do to this lock to get the security to an even higher level. Now it's very important to note that the average criminal is not going to be walking around with lock picks, and the reason why they don't do it, because they want to get in and out of the area as fast as possible. The longer they sit there trying to pick the lock, the higher their odds are of getting caught. So criminals generally carry pry bars, hammers, cutoff tools, as well as bolt cutters. Alright, so let's open this one up. There's the keyway. Reach right in here. And you can see where the locking balls would go. And you can see one of the locking balls right there. And of course there's one on this side that you can't see. To take this lock core out is a screw inside. I'm going to unscrew that. Once that's unscrewed, I'm then going to pull off this rubber protective boot and remove the internals to show you. Okay, you can see the screw has been removed or loosened all the way. Let me take this key out of the keyway. Let's pull this off. It'll slide up. See the way that goes right there in this groove right over here. And there's a look at the inside. Let me just reach in and grab this, pull it out. And if you look very carefully inside, and you can see right here, I'll close it. Watch what happens. You see it move back into position. A good amount of tension is required to rotate that cam clockwise due to the spring. That's why this big piece on the bottom, you can see it's flat, lines up on top of this piece right down here. And when you turn the key, this whole piece here rotates clockwise. This little tool does not have the strength to be able to turn that, nor does it have the ability to find its way in between to make it rotate like some other locks. Okay, I'm going to leave this the way it is, push it to the side. And now I want to take a much closer look at this core and show you exactly what we're going to be doing to modify it. Okay, you're now looking at the entire lock assembly. And the first thing you're going to notice is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 openings, but yet the key only uses 5. On this end, you can see that cam, this part right here, is what rotates on that cam inside the padlock to free up the steel ball bearings. And let's rotate this way just a hair the key is in. Over here you have your chambers. So you have 6 chambers lined up. Each one of those chambers has a spring as well as a top pin. Now normally when you're going to slide this out, you would use a tool called a follower. In my case I just use a piece of steel I had laying around. When you push on the core or the plug, it slides through the body here, keeping all the pins with the springs in position. So you could pull out the plug, work on the pins with the key, and then this follower would slide back out the same way that you pushed it in. Now to remove the plug, you're going to see there's a little retaining ring right there. And there is a special tool, but you don't need it. So I'm just going to go over here and push this tool gently, holding the key. And you can see it just loosened up. Let's just pry that away. Be very careful when you're taking things apart like this, because if any of these springs fly off, you're going to have an extremely difficult time finding them. So make sure your work area is extremely clean. Maybe put down like a sheet in the area that you're working, so if any of the parts fall out, it'll be very easy to find them. Alright, so now lay this here for 1 second. And this is the retaining ring. Now to remove the plug, what I'm going to do is rotate the key just a little bit clockwise. Alright, like that. I'm going to take this follower and I'm going to hold it right against the end and slide it through like this. Watch. Push it all the way through. Just be careful the pins don't fall out of the plug with the key. Just keep pushing. Okay, and you can see right there the top pin. Let me keep it pushed all the way in like this. Alright, with the plug removed, you can see the 5 pins that are being used, and the hole at the very end is not being used. That hole appears to be slightly smaller because the top edge is not beveled like the ones right next to it. So what I'm going to do is take this tool right here. It's a countersink. I'm going to hold it perpendicular to that hole, rotate by hand until the bevel is very similar to the other pin openings. Now before I do that, let me show you something else very important. Right over here, alright, that's one of the top pins inside here with the springs, and you want to take these out and you want to replace them with spool pins or serrated pins, which look like this right over here. And the purpose of doing that is to make picking much more difficult. Now to show you, I'm going to slide out the follower. I already changed 4 of these out with spool pins. I'm going to back this out just a little, take out one of the regular pins, and then show you what the spool pins look like. The diameter of this pin, right over here, that width, is right around 2.1 to 2.2 millimeters. Spool pins and serrated pins of this size can be purchased on eBay as well as many other websites. Alright, so this is the one that comes inside the Magnum lock. You have 5 of those pins and 5 of those springs. Now let me show you one of the spool pins. You can see right in there. Alright, let's slide it back just a little bit more. Okay, and you can see it looks like a little tiny barbell, and so when you go to pick, you're going to think the shear line was met in between here when the shear line is really at the bottom. So it's going to fool you and make picking much more difficult. So this one I already did off camera before the video. There are 4 spool pins and 2 regular top pins. You can mix spool pins with serrated pins if you'd like. That's probably even better. So when the person's picking, they'll have a certain feel for the spool pin, and then when they pick the serrated pin, it's going to have a different feel, so it'll throw them off. Let me put these back in and go on to the next step. Okay, the hole now has a small bevel on it, and I'm going to be using this pin right here in the 6th pin spot, and this one here I changed out. None of these had a serrated lower pin, so I'm adding a serrated pin in the 3rd spot right over here. Now the reason why I chose the longer one, I'll show you right now. This right here is the key that's used, and you can see that it's low, then it goes high, then it goes low, a little higher, and then low. I want to make sure the next pin goes lower, and by varying the cuts deeper like that, low, high, it makes it harder to pick that lock. So that's why I chose the longer pin you see right over here. Now in order to go from this key here for 5 pins, I'm going to take another M19 key, a blank, and you can see the shoulder is very long on this blank. So I'm going to take a Dremel with a cutoff wheel, and I'm going to cut it back the spacing for 1 pin. So it's going to go from here to around there. And then once that's done, I'm going to place this in my key machine and make all of the cuts you see right here on the new key. Of course, I'm not going to be cutting the last pin because I'm going to be doing that manually by hand using a Dremel. So first let me cut this shoulder off, and then we'll go on to the next step. Alright, now right here you're looking at another key that I made for the other lock I showed you earlier, the older version. This one right over here. I converted it to 6 pin a long time ago, and I cut the shoulder as well. So right there where the red area is, I'm going to be making sure that red disappears, because that's where the shoulder is going to end. I'm going to take my Dremel, this cutoff tool. You can get one of these at Harbor Freight, very cheap. I'm going to make the cut right there. Then I'm going to come in this way, make the cut that way, make sure it's nice and smooth, and I'll be right back. So here's the key in my left hand after the shoulder was cut. This one here was the original with the shoulder. So you can see it's like this. Alright, you see how much I took off? And this is the 6th key that I made a long time ago, 6 pin key. It's got the same shoulder. When you do the back side, see it looks good here, you want to make sure you take the Dremel and take a little bit of the metal away right here, otherwise the thickness will interfere with this inserting into the keyway. So now I can take this, and you can see this other lock, and it goes in perfectly right up to that shoulder. Now let's get this put in the key machine and duplicate the cut. Okay, that looks pretty good. Here's the one key. That's the original. This is the one I just cut. So everything lines up nicely. The next step is to place this inside the plug. Okay, camera's in my way, making it difficult. And you can see the pins will be fine. They're all lined up. But if you look inside, you can see the high part of the key sticking up. I'm going to mark that with the red Sharpie pen, and then I'm going to insert the new pin that has the serrated rim on it. And I'm gradually going to take my Dremel and keep reducing this area down until it's flush with the top of the plug, just like the other pins. Once that's done, I'll be right back. Okay, let's give it a try. Okay, this is the key. It's all finished. And you can see when I insert it, all the pins go nice and flat with each other. It's all ready to go. Now let's reinsert inside here and give it a try. Okay, lock it down. Let me put the clip on the end here again, and we'll try it out. The retaining ring is back on, or the clip. Let's take the original key, try that. Does nothing. Now let's try the new one that I cut. And look at that, smooth as silk, baby. Alright, let me insert this back into the lock and give it a try. Okay, the lock has been fully assembled. Let's try the new key. And look at that, how easy it works. Alright, I guess it's safe to say that if this was a level 10, before I added the 4 spool pins to make it harder to pick on the top, and I added the 2 serrated pins on the bottom, along with the 6-pin key, I guess we can call this a level 12 padlock. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to rate thumbs up, subscribe, and post links to this video on other websites and blogs. Also be sure to check out my video playlist as well. Thank you very much for watching.